and a warm welcome to the AI with Arun Show. Let's start with the problem. For decades, cities measured AI pollution using a small number of expensive official monitoring stations. Think of it like trying to understand the weather across an entire city using just two or three thermometers. Pollution actually changes street by street. One road choked with traffic can be far worse than a park 2 blocks away. But these power stations can't measure that detail. Even worse, the data was historical. It told you what happened yesterday, not what's coming tomorrow. So governments could only react after pollution had already turned hazardous, shutting down construction or traffic after the damage to public health was done. This reactive approach is exactly what AI is now changing. So how does AI fix this? It combines many different data sources at once, a skill called data fusion. Picture assembling a jigsaw puzzle where every piece comes from a different source. Satellites orbiting the Earth, thousands of low cost sensors on the ground, live traffic cameras, weather stations, and even factory emission monitors. On their own, none of these pieces tell you the full story. But AI stitches them together into one live, detailed picture of the air. This lets cities forecast air quality up to 72 hours ahead and pinpoint pollution down to a single street, not just a whole city. That is the foundation everything else in this video builds on. Here is a bonus that most people miss. Some pollutants, known as short-lived climate pollutants, including black carbon soot, ground level ozone, and methane, do double damage. They irritate our lungs right now, and they also trap heat far more powerfully than carbon dioxide, just over a shorter time span. Because AI can trace these pollutants back to their exact source, whether it is a specific factory, a fleet of trucks, or farm burning, cities can target them directly. That means one cleanup action gives two wins at once: healthier lungs for people living there today, and less near term warming for the whole planet. That is why air quality AI matters far more beyond just your daily breathing. Now, let's go a little deeper. In this section, we'll unpack four breakthroughs AI techniques scientists use to forecast pollution. Explained in plain English, no math degree required. Our first technique is called a Physics Informed Neural Network, or PINN. Physics Informed Neural Network. A regular AI model learns purely from patterns in past data, like a student who memorizes answers without truly understanding why they are correct. That works fine until it faces something new. And then it can make predictions that violate basic physics, like pollution appearing to teleport across city. A PINN is different. Scientists directly embed real physics equations like mathematical rules describing how pollution drifts with wind and spreads through air into the AI's learning process. The result is an AI that needs far less real world data to train and stays realistic even in brand new weather conditions it has never seen before. Now, real cities aren't sealed boxes. Pollution drifts in from neighboring regions, and cities have messy, unpredictable factors like heat rising off buildings or emissions nobody officially tracked. To handle this, researchers built dual branch neural ODE models like the one called the Air Dual ODE. Think of it as two experts working together. One expert strictly follows the physics textbook, modeling how pollution should spread. The second expert is a street smart local who has learned all the messy exceptions and surprises from real data. The AI blends both opinions together, which makes it far better at predicting pollution that crosses city or state borders, something a physics only or a data only model would miss. Down at the street level, pollution behaves in surprisingly complex ways. Tall buildings create wind tunnels called street canyons, where pollution can get trapped or funneled unpredictably. Engineers have long used a technique called computational fluid dynamics to simulate this airflow, and it is extremely accurate but painfully slow. Simulating one city's airflow could take days on a supercomputer. New hybrid AI models, one called Topoflow, learns from these simulations and then approximate the same results almost instantly. That means cities can now get near real-time pollution maps accurate down to individual meters, something that was previously impossible to update fast enough to matter. You may have heard of generative AI, Gen AI models that create images from a text prompt, diffusion models. It turns out that the same core technology helps with air quality too. Ground sensors are sparse. They only exist in a handful of locations. So, there are huge gaps in our knowledge of pollution levels between them. Physics informed diffusion models take those limited readings and generatively reconstruct a complete three-dimension map of pollutant concentration, even indoors. This gives building managers and city planners critical data for things like ventilation design and localized exposure management. Essentially, seeing the invisible in full detail from just a few data points. Let's quickly recap the five modeling families that we just covered. Traditional chemical transport models are grounded in solid science but are slow and need heavy manual data. So they are mainly used for big regional climate policy. Pure deep learning is very fast, but can occasionally produce physically impossible results during extreme, unusual pollution events. Physics informed neural networks strike a great balance, physically reliable and efficient with data, making them ideal for everyday citywide forecasting. Dual branch neural ODEs shine when pollution crosses borders between regions. And AI-CFD hybrids like Topoflow are the best choice when you need hyperlocal, street-by-street detail instantly. Different tools for different jobs, all working towards the same goal. Theory is great, but does this actually work? Let's look at real cities. A comparative study found that 19 major cities slashed their fine particle and nitrogen dioxide pollution by more than 20% within 10 years, all while their economies kept. That busts the old myth that you have to choose between clean air and economic growth. Let's look at five of these cities and what they actually did. Beijing, China. They achieved one of the fastest pollution reductions ever recorded for a megacity, cutting its most dangerous fine particulate matter called PM 2.5 by roughly 48% in a decade. The key was not just more sensors, it was smarter use of them. Thousands of low cost sensors combined with satellite data and factory monitoring let AI perform something called dynamic source apportionment. In simple terms, this means figuring out exactly what percentage of today's smog comes from coal heating versus gas exhaust versus farmers burning crop waste nearby. With that precise answer in hand, officials replaced coal boilers with cleaner gas and electric heating, restricted the dirtiest vehicles using automatic license plate cameras, and coordinated policy across the wider Beijing region instead of acting alone. Next, London. London cut its fine particle pollution by 28% and its nitrogen dioxide by 27% by expanding what is called the ultra low emission zone. The AI engine behind it is a network of automatic number plate recognition cameras, essentially smart cameras that read license plates as cars drive by and instantly check each vehicle against emission standards. If your car does not meet the standard, you get charged a daily fee automatically, no human involved. That constant financial pressure sped up London's switch to electric vehicles. The same data also let planners create over 300 school streets where cars are banned near schools during the busy pickup and drop off hours, protecting children when pollution exposure matters most. San Francisco is the leading example in North America of sustained cuts to both major pollutant types at once. What makes this region unique is wildfire smoke, which can spike pollution readings dramatically but has completely different causes and solutions than everyday traffic pollution. AI powered sensor networks spread across the region's varied microclimates learn to distinguish the two apart in real time. That distinction matters because you fix car pollution differently than you fix wildfire smoke. With this clearer picture, regional planners pushed transit electrification, required cargo ships docked at ports to plug into clean shore power instead of running diesel generators, and created targeted incentives for zero emission building upgrades. Our next city, Warsaw, Poland, they achieved a remarkable reduction of more than 45% in fine particulate pollution, and the main culprit turned out to be something surprisingly ordinary: residential heating. Many homes burned coal and wood for winter warmth, creating dangerous smog. City officials used spatial machine learning to map exactly which buildings were energy inefficient and which neighborhoods were smog hotspots during winter. Armed with that hyperlocal map, Warsaw enacted a full municipal ban on coal and wood heating. Crucially, they paired the ban with targeted financial help for lower income households so families were not left in the cold. It's a strong reminder that AI's job is not just prediction, it's guiding fair, effective policy. Three European cities, Paris, Amsterdam, and Rotterdam, they focused heavily on how goods and people actually move through a city. AI managed urban logistics hubs now optimize delivery routes so that the final leg of a package journey, the so-called last mile, uses zero-emission vehicles like electric cargo bikes instead of diesel vans. Dynamic traffic signal systems use real-time data to prioritize buses and cyclists over private cars at intersections. Amsterdam and Rotterdam cut nitrogen dioxide levels by more than 40% using this approach. Paris went further, pairing low emission zones with a rapid expansion of protecting cycling lanes, essentially reallocating road space away from cars and back to people. So, if you are a city struggling with chronic hazardous air quality, where do you even start? Researchers have laid out a clear four-phase roadmap that turns messy, disconnected city operations into one proactive, AI-driven air quality system. Let's walk through each phase. The very first phase, typically the first 12 months, is about building a reliable data foundation. Instead of relying only on a few expensive official stations, cities deploy a hybrid network, calibrated low-cost sensors placed roughly every square kilometer in dense urban areas, paired with satellite data tracking things like smoke and methane from space. Mobile sensors mounted on public buses add even finer detail as they move through the city. Here's the clever part. AI automatically corrects for the fact that cheap sensors drift and get thrown off by temperature and humidity, calibrating them against trusted official stations. Without this foundation, none of the smarter forecasting in later phases would be trustworthy. Once reliable data starts flowing, phase 2 shifts focus to prediction and diagnosis, usually happening in year 2. Cities deploy the physics informed and dual branch models we discussed earlier to generate hyperlocal air quality forecasts 48 to 72 hours before pollution actually happens. But prediction alone is not enough. So the system also runs automated source apportionment, continuously recalculating how much of current pollution comes from vehicles, road dust, industry, or biomass burning. City staff get trained on dashboards that turn all this into insight the departments can actually act on. This phase transforms raw data into genuine foresight. With reliable forecasts in mind, phase 3 flips cities from reactive to preventive, typically by year 3. The 72-hour forecasts get wired directly into automated emergency protocols, such as India's Graded Response Action Plan, known as GRAP. If the model predicts a severe pollution episode 48 hours out, the system automatically triggers targeted interventions before air quality actually deteriorates. This means sending GPS guided water sprinkling trucks to specific dusty roads, diverting heavy freight traffic away from vulnerable neighborhoods, or temporarily slowing specific factories during forecast bad air windows. Cities also add green buffers, strip of vegetation that physically trap dust and particles along major roads. The most mature phase creates what is called a digital twin, essentially a live, constantly updated virtual copy of the city's atmosphere. Think of it like a flight simulator, but for city air. Planners can test what if scenarios inside the simulation. What happens to air quality if you build a new transit corridor here or add more green space there before spending real construction money? On the enforcement side, automated systems continuously monitor factory emission data and immediately flag violations with alerts and legal notices. No waiting for a manual inspection. Finally, all this local data gets synced with regional and national clean air programs so neighboring cities and states can coordinate together instead of working in isolation. India faces some of the world's toughest air pollution challenges, driven by dense cities and complex seasonal weather. That challenge has sparked a wave of homegrown climate tech innovation. Let's meet four organizations leading the charge. from a government partnership to three fast growing startups. Our first spotlight is a public institution, not a startup. The Delhi government's Environment Department partnered with the Airavat Research Foundation at IIT Kanpur under a 5-year agreement to build an AI powered decision support system for the entire national capital region. It combines low cost sensors, mobile monitoring labs, satellite data, and local weather patterns to generate 48 to 72-hour advanced pollution forecasts at high spatial detail. Crucially, it performs real-time source apportionment, telling of officials exactly how much pollution comes from local traffic, road dust, industry, farm burning, or even neighboring states. This system plugs directly into Delhi's road maintenance program to target dust cleanup across all 18,000 kilometers of city roads and feeds directly into GRAP enforcement decisions. Blue Sky Analytics, founded in 2018 by Abhilasha Purvar as CEO and Kshitij Purvar as CTO. Their inspiration was financial terminal platforms that aggregate global market data. So they set out to build what is called the Bloomberg for environmental data. The company processes terabytes of raw satellite imagery from agencies like NASA and the European Space Agency using proprietary AI, turning it into usable environmental data sets. They produce their product, Brizo, delivers historical, real-time, and predictive air quality data, while their product Zuri tracks farm fires and industrial thermal anomalies from space. They've also expanded into climate risk intelligence, helping banks, asset managers, and insurance companies assess financial risk from a warming climate. Ambi has a genuinely personal origin story. It was founded in 2017 in Bangalore by Akshay Joshi, Madhusudan Anand, and Jaydeep Bachar. After co-founder Madhusudan Anand wanted to understand what localized air quality triggers were causing his infant son's severe breathing distress. That personal problem revealed a bigger gap. There simply was not granular enough air quality data available to the public. Ambi built an enterprise platform combining ground sensors, satellite imagery, weather, and traffic data through proprietary machine learning, delivering environmental APIs across more than 90 countries. One standout product is their pollen API, used by pharma companies to predict allergy flare ups. They also built a platform helping corporations track their full supply chain carbon emissions. Our final spotlight tackles a problem that quietly undermines a lot of low cost sensor networks, which is accuracy. Respirer Living Sciences, founded by Ronak Sutaria, focuses on building scientifically validated sensor infrastructure. The flagship product, called Atmos, offers affordable, high quality, high precision air quality devices paired with an analytics platform. What sets them apart is rigorous cross field calibration, meaning they constantly check their low cost sensors against official, expensive government monitoring stations to ensure that the data is genuinely reliable. Municipal authorities, academic researchers, and industrial companies across India use the Atmos platform, supporting policy tracking under India's National Clean Air Program and helping businesses report their environmental performance against global standards. Let's zoom out and connect everything that we have covered. The old model of pollution management was essentially firefighting. Wait until air quality crossed a dangerous threshold, then shut down construction citywide or restrict all traffic indiscriminately. A blunt tool that hurt everyone's daily life. The new model, powered by 72-hour AI forecasting combined with precise source tracking, enables something far smarter, micro targeted, preventive action. Cities can send dust trucks to one specific road, pause one specific factory during a forecast bad air window, or reroute traffic away from one vulnerable neighborhood, all before pollution actually spikes. And because pollution crosses borders freely, satellite AI also helps neighboring regions coordinate instead of pointing fingers at each other. So, to wrap up, cleaner air is not some far off dream. It's already happening in cities around the world, powered by AI that fuses satellite data, ground sensors, and physics itself into forecasts that let cities act before pollution ever spikes. India Homegrown innovators like Airavat, Blue Air Analytics, Ambi, and Respirer are building the tools to bring the same intelligence to some of the most polluted cities on Earth. If you found this valuable, give this video a like, subscribe for more deep dives into AI and climate technology, and drop a comment telling me which city's approach surprised you the most. We also request you to consider joining us as a member. All you have to do is click join right below the video. And thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one.